supposed to be a festival. Why does the place look like, well, not festive? The decorations were made of plastic. They melted. Why'd they melt? The furnace is not that high. Go and find something else. Find something festive. Even if it's organic, I don't care. Just make it look festive. It's a solstice festival. You can't have a solstice festival without decorations. Okay? You go sort that. Go on. Go sort that. Hello. I'm back. And this is a very special video because this, after over 3 years, nearly 4 years, we finally got to our last Shakespeare. Yes, yay! Our last Shakespeare, which is coincidentally also Shakespeare's last Shakespeare. It's the play The Tempest. But before we start, remember, apparently there's a shop and a Redbubble shop that you're supposed to have a look at, because apparently you're supposed to support us, you know. And frankly, if you're not subscribed, what have you been doing? What have you been doing? I told you, if you don't subscribe, I will come and jump out from under your bed and scare you witless. And like it and share it and all those other things that the others say. So, you got that? Good. So, The Tempest. This is the last play that we're doing, and next year, see, I got the Solstice Festival. This is the last play that we're doing, and next year we're going to be doing a whole load of other stuff, all that theatre that I managed to get down from upstairs. The Milwaukee Family Players have been working overtime, and you know how much the Milwaukee Family Players don't like working at all. Well, they have been really suffering their way through learning whole new plays for me to bring next year. But before then, we have The Tempest. So, The Tempest, as you can imagine, given its name, opens with a storm at sea. And in the storm at sea is caught the King of Naples' ship. And the ship contains the King of Naples, Gonzalo, one of his advisors, also the Duke of Milan, called Antonio. There is also the King of Naples' son and his brother. Ferdinand is his son and Sebastian is his brother. So, this great storm. And at first we only see the sailors, and then the nobles all come up onto the deck, and it's like, oh, please go back downstairs because you're not helpful. You're just like, you know, you don't need nobles when working men are trying their best to keep the ship righted. But no, they insist on being there, and pretty soon the whole ship sinks. It takes on water. They all go into the sea. And boom, gone. On the island, because this all happens just off an island. The king's ship has been separated from the fleet and it is now sunk. At least that's what we're led to believe. On the island is a man named Prospero and his daughter, Miranda. Now, Miranda has been watching the Tempest and the loss of this ship from their home, or from the shore, and she is very, very upset about the loss of this ship. But Prospero assures her that nobody has been harmed and everything will be well. Now, Miranda then is told a little bit about Prospero. That Prospero, he tells her finally after 12 years on the island, so she's 15 and she has no idea who they are because her father hasn't told her, because her father is a bit of a control freaky narcissist. But, you know, there we go. Prospero tells Miranda, because he knows what's going on, and it's like, it's time I told you who you are and who I am. And so he tells Miranda that he was or is the rightful Duke of Milan, and that he and Miranda were put into a boat and let free to the seas and washed up on the island 12 years ago after his brother usurped his position using the backing of the King of Naples. The reason why his brother was able to usurp his position is because Prospero, instead of being the Duke, was basically sitting in his study and learning magic. This is a really interesting one because this is the only time where we have supernatural forces governed by a human. Even the witches in Macbeth are not, sort of like, yeah, they're a bit dodgy, but they're not actively manifesting spirits and commanding them in quite this way. So he is actually a very powerful sorcerer. And Gonzalo, after Miranda and Prospero were taken out to sea, because they didn't want to kill them, they didn't want actual blood on their hands, but they were like, let's put them in a rotting boat and set them out to sea. And Gonzalo provisioned the boat for them, and by luck they landed on this island. Prospero is now, Miranda starts asking him questions, and Prospero uses his power, like, go to sleep. And she must this must happen a lot. Every time she asks uncomfortable questions, she just suddenly falls asleep and then wakes up and like, oh, wow. I don't think she realizes it's not normal to just fall asleep on the beach in your clothes. I mean, really, he's really, really not quite a good person. Not really. Anyway, Miranda falls asleep and Prospero calls on Ariel. Ariel is a spirit of the island, and Ariel is the one who has summoned up this storm for Prospero. Now, Ariel has one big thing that he wants. He wants his freedom. Freedom! And Prospero reminds him, do you not remember what condition I found you in? I'm not quite ready to give you freedom yet. And Ariel's a bit forgetful, and so needs reminding of the fact that before Prospero came to the island was home to an Algerian witch called Sycorax. And Sycorax was sent to the island for being a black magician. And on the island, she gave birth to a son, Caliban. When Ariel had refused to follow her instructions, she imprisoned him in a tree. And he hated it in there, and he howled and he cried out, but Sycorax died, never letting him out. And when Prospero came to the island, he discovered Ariel trapped in the tree, and he released Ariel, thus making him owe him something. He's clearly been playing on this for about 12 years. And so Ariel finally tells him, having been reassured, look, you can have your freedom in 2 days, okay? Obviously, he's been extending this for quite some time. You can have your freedom in 2 days. Ariel tells Prospero that he has put the ship in a safe harbour with all the crew asleep below decks, and the nobleman and others are the passengers, the noblemen and the passengers. He has scattered across the island. And Prospero's very happy about this. He has plans. Now, next who comes out, Miranda wakes up, and the next one who comes out is Caliban. Caliban is Sycorax's son, and Caliban has been being used as a slave. Caliban, Prospero says Caliban is useless and worthless and nothing, not worth anything. And Caliban is like, this is my island. I had it of my mother. It was my mother's island, and now it's my island. When you came here, I showed you where the good water was. I showed you where you could get food. I showed you where you could get shelter. I shared my island with you. And what did you do? You took it from me and made me a slave. Prospero says, you know, I taught you to talk and I had you live in our house, and then you tried to take advantage of my daughter. And Caliban doesn't actually deny this. I mean, they are the only humans on this island, and Caliban has not seen a woman since his mother, and I don't think his mother really kept from him the facts of life, unlike Prospero, who's clearly kept his daughter in the dark. And so Caliban is like, yes, well, I could people this whole island with me and your daughter. But Prospero was like, no, I don't want my daughter with some disgusting little island dwelling son of a witch. No. So he had thrown him out, and he uses his magic to keep Caliban under control, to keep him tortured with pains, and basically tortures him to keep him under control. So Caliban is not very happy at all. Caliban goes about his business. He has to bring in firewood. Okay, so with Caliban gone, Ariel brings in Ferdinand, the King of Naples' son. And Miranda sees Ferdinand, and she thinks he is the most beautiful thing she's ever seen. She has seen two humans, her father and Caliban. He honestly could be a drooling hunchback for all she knows. He could look like the Habsburgs. She wouldn't know much different. Anyway, it's like he has no. She has anything's gonna look good to her. But anyway, so we have no objective idea of whether Ferdinand is good looking or not. He could be a complete gormless idiot. Maybe he is. Maybe that's why why he's unmarried. Anyway, Ferdinand comes in and Miranda sees him and she thinks he's really wonderful. And she's amazed. This is what other people are like? Wow. And he is thinking he's the only person who survived the shipwreck, which is a bit sad that his father dead. But then he sees Miranda and it's like, oh, wow. He has seen other girls before. And they both fall in love, like really quickly. I mean, I can understand Miranda. She's only ever seen Caliban. So next to Caliban, Ferdinand must look really good. But Ferdinand is like, I think he's a simpleton. Or maybe he's just thinking, well, I'm on an island by myself and there's the old man and the girl that I've seen so far. Not really into the old man, so I guess the girl. If I'm going to make it the best of it, we'll go with the girl. You know. And so Prospero has planned all this in the first place, but he then pretends to be very severe to Ferdinand and sets him the job of moving logs to, prove himself to Miranda, as worthy of his daughter. So that's what's happening there. Elsewhere on the island, the King of Naples, the Duke of Milan, the usurping Duke of Milan, Gonzalo and Sebastian are all wandering around the island. The King of Naples is very upset because he can't find his son and he's afraid that he's drowned. Sebastian, his brother, is really cranky with him because he's like, this is all your fault for marrying my niece to the King of Tunis, and this would never have happened if you hadn't done that. And so everyone's in a bad mood. The king especially. The king is really upset because he really does think he's lost his son. He already feels he's lost his daughter with this foreign marriage. And so he's not in a good mood. But Ariel sends Gonzalez and the King of Naples to sleep. And another lord who's with them, but he's sort of nothing. I don't think he even has lines, or if he does, they're the odd one. He sends them to sleep. Awake are still Antonio, the Duke of Milan, and Sebastian. And Antonio suggests to Sebastian that with his brother asleep, he could kill his brother. He's doing very much like Pompey, and I forget Pompey's offsider, but he says, you know, we have all three rulers of the world, and we could kill them and toss them overside. And Pompey is forced to say, well, if you had have done that, that would have been great. But now that I know, it would look terrible if I did it. So, you idiot, you should have just done it. Anyway, the Duke of Milan, the usurping Duke of Milan, is like this for Sebastian, and he says, I will kill the king and you kill Gonzalez, and it will all be easy, and then you can be king. And which all seems rather motiveless. I mean, yes, they're all a bit pissed to be stuck on the island, but to instantly devolve into murder is like, really? I think this is all done just to make sure that what Prospero does, which is pretty awful, is justified by making them complete paragons of evil. Anyway, so they are stopped in this moment by the fact that Ariel wakes up the sleeping men, and the others are like, oh no, why the king's like, why are you standing over us with your swords drawn? And they're like, no, there was a beast, a wild beast. And they sort of, got away with it. And they leave and keep searching for Ferdinand. Caliban has been fetching wood, and he's not happy about it, and he's grumbling about this being his island, and it not being fair what's been going on. And he falls asleep because a storm is coming in, another storm, or more storm is coming in, and he's a bit frightened, and he goes under a cloth and falls asleep. Trinuccio has walked out of the surf. He's dripping wet. He's in a jester's costume, and he sees Caliban. But he's frightened by the thunder and climbs under the oilcloth with him. He's not quite certain what there is. It's a monster. It smells like fish, but he's scared of the thunder, so he hides. Following him is Stefano. Stefano comes out of the surf, and comes across the oilcloths with the two men under it, and he's been drinking. He managed to float ashore on a barrel of sack, and he has now carved himself a bottle, and he is drinking the sack. He sees the legs underneath the oilcloth and assumes that they belong to one person. And this must be a monster. And that this monster would be a great thing to exhibit in Europe should they ever get back. He tries to rouse the monster. The two men fight underneath the oilcloth. It appears they have 4 legs and 2 heads. He gives Caliban some of his drink. Caliban has never drunk alcohol before, and he really thinks this is great. Trinuccio comes out from under the oilcloth, and they embrace. He also has some of the drink, but Caliban is so like, wow, this is great. And he takes them for gods, and he decides to serve them, that this is his island. He'll show them everything that they need to see. You'd think Caliban would have learnt from the last time he did this. And the two drunken men just think, yay, this is great, we'll be kings of the island. They are Stefano is the king's butler, and the king's jester is Trinuccio. I think I'm going to call him the king's jester from now on. Anyway, they go off and to replenish the bottle of sack. Ferdinand has been moving logs, and on the orders of Prospero, Miranda comes and sees him, and they have a little scene where she tells him to rest, and she'll carry the logs because she can do that. And he says, no, I couldn't bear to see that. And they're all lovey-dovey, and Prospero has overheard them, and he's pleased with this because this is his aim all along. He's orchestrating all of this, the big puppet master. We again see Stefano and Trinuccio, the jester, and Caliban. Caliban is roaringly drunk now. And Caliban has decided that what you two are going to have to do is kill Prospero. You kill him, bash his head in, I don't care what, just get rid of him, and then we can be... I'll be free of him, and we can rule the island. So they're going to plan to do that. They agree, okay, yeah, we'll kill him. It, can't be that hard. And they are roaringly drunk. They've refilled the bottle, and they keep drinking. Caliban is feeling somewhat sick by this point because he's never drunk before, whereas they have a very high tolerance of it. But Caliban thinks this is brilliant. He's going to get rid of his hated master, and he will be free. Poor Caliban. I mean, just because he's ugly and stupid doesn't mean that he hasn't a right to his island. We don't even know that he's ugly. What we know is he's been treated like an animal, and his hygiene is questionable, which I'm pretty sure everyone on that island stinks because there's no deodorant on the island. There's no deodorant, and I don't think there's any laundering either. Because, while Caliban might be good at fetching and carrying, I don't think he's much of a laundress. I really don't think he's much of a laundress, and I don't think Ariel is either. So 12 years on the island, they stink. A whole lot of them. But that's not an excuse to take the island from Caliban. Anyway, Caliban is really happy about this and is like, he's going to get his island back. He is trusting the wrong people. So much so. Anyway, the king and the duke and Gonzales and his brother all are still looking for Ferdinand. The king is really certain his son is dead. He's very upset. And they come across a banquet that has been laid out. They are thinking, oh yay, when all of a sudden harpies come down. The harpies, of course, are Ariel and some of the other spirits. Now, harpies, there is a reason why you don't invite harpies to solstice dinner. A very good reason. Much as I love the harpies, they have a wonderful position down here in the infernal realms. The little babies are so cute. But their table manners are atrocious. Harpies like to eat what they want and then defecate over everything that's left. It makes them terrible, terrible, terrible dinner guests. You invite harpies once, you never make that mistake again. Never, never, never. We throw stuff into their pit. We throw stuff into the hole that they nest in. They nest on the sides. And we throw that down and they fly out and they grab it. They're really good at that. They're really good at tormenting people. But do not invite them for dinner. Do not invite them for dinner. And so anyway, Ariel, as a harpy, curses the lot of them and tells them, that this is punishment for their sins. The Duke No, the king is absolutely guilt-ridden and runs off, followed also by Sebastian and Antonio, who are determined to kill the spirits. There is no remorse from either of those two. It's very interesting. There's not a lot of development of anything, really. None of the characters have much of an arc. Actually, I don't think any of them have much of an arc. And there's only one female character, Miranda, which... little boring. But anyway... and she was born pretty yesterday, or born sexy yesterday, because she's 15 and she's never seen anyone. It's kind of like, really? Really? You want to go there? Merry Wives of Windsor was much better. Merry Wives of Windsor was much more fun. But anyway. So they all rush off into the wilderness of the island. Gonzalez follows after them to try and keep them safe. He's absolutely grief-stricken over what's going on. Prospero learns that... oh, no. Prospero has given his agreement to Ferdinand and Miranda marrying. He settles down to create a pageant for them, to have the spirits create a pageant, a wedding pageant, to celebrate this. This is sort of a little bit different. Apparently it's sort of like a mask in the middle of the play. Apparently these masks were very, very popular with James. You don't see them in any of the earlier ones. And Ben Jonson was apparently very good at writing these. Ben Jonson, who killed a man in a duel and who got done for the Isle of Dogs and who got done for Westward Ho, was actually really good at doing pageants for the king, but, you know. It's kind of boring and it makes the play drag and it eats up running time that really you kind of could have used for a bit more character development. And there's no idea what the pageant would have actually looked like, so it's all sort of approximation. And quite frankly, I've seen a more entertaining shoebox with the Milwaukee family players, and it slows the whole thing down. You're getting an idea that I didn't like the pageant part. Anyway, in the middle of the pageant, Prospero suddenly realizes, oh, there's a plot, as if like a plot to kill him. And it's like, yeah, dude, it's almost as if it's like, oh, I suddenly forgot I'm running a play and I need to have the play move forward rather than get bogged down in this thing. Because really, how long is a piece of string? I don't know. It could go on forever and ever and ever. So all of a sudden we remember, oh yeah, this isn't a royal mask, it's a play. We've got to keep the plot moving ahead. And so Prospero orders his fine garments, which he hasn't been wearing on the island, to be put out to distract Stefano and Triluccio, so that when they come to attack him. Ariel has also been dragging them all around the island and getting them completely lost in going through a bog and all of this stuff, so that when they finally arrive and they see the fine garments, Caliban is like, he's asleep in his rooms, go and kill him. But they look at the fine garments and they're like, ooh, this is nice, and they're completely bedazzled by the fine garments, and they lose their chance because out comes Ariel and the other spirits and they chase them away. Now finally the nobles come in and Prospero uses his magic on them, freezes them, but he decides, what am I going to do? I have them completely at my mercy. I'll forgive them. But before he releases them from his magic, he makes sure that he's dressed as the Duke of Milan. So he takes off his magical robes and puts on his Duke of Milan clothes, because not everything was put out to tempt the idiots. Ariel has also been sent out to wake up the ship, and to bring the bosun in, having woken up the ship. So he's gone off to do that. When the nobles awake, are released from the spell, Prospero reveals who he is, and they are all sort of like, oh, you know, this is yada yada yada, reconciliation, I forgive you, brother. You know, the King of Naples still thinks his son is dead. He's very distraught. He reconfers the Duke of Milan's title to Prospero, having stripping it from his brother, and that's it. I mean, it doesn't really deal with the fact that his own brother would like to have killed him, because with Ferdinand believed dead, his brother is now next in line. But Prospero reveals, yes, I too have lost my daughter, and then he reveals Ferdinand and Miranda, because he has lost his daughter in marriage to Ferdinand. Daughters aren't property, guys. Just thought I'd throw that one in. They're not property. But anyway. So everybody's happy. The bosun comes in and the whole ship is all good. And everyone is going to go in and discuss all the reconciliation and all the changes that have happened and how all of this mysterious stuff happened. Yada, yada, yada. Prospero comes out and tells Ariel, make sure the ship gets back to the fleet quickly, and I release you. He breaks his staff, drowns his books, and returns to being just the Duke of Milan instead of the all-powering sorcerer. Being an all-powering sorcerer is all well and good, but all of this would have been avoided if he'd just be the Duke of Milan. Anyway. And no one would have had an excuse to usurp him. Duh. Ariel is free. Whether Ariel wishes to remain on the island or is incorporeal or whatever, we don't really know. But Caliban clearly gets his island back, because although Prospero is cranky at Caliban for what he's done, he tells Caliban and Stefano and the jester to return his things to his rooms, or his room, but there is no great punishment for Caliban. I think he realizes my time on the island is through. I'm not going to apologize for what I did, but I guess he gets his island back. So there you go. And everybody is going to finish and leave and happily ever after. And that's the Tempest. That's the Tempest for you. I can't say it's one of my favourites. Not really. It's like, it's sort of lacking something. I think character arc might be the thing that it's lacking. But, yeah, so there you go. There's the Tempest. The final play, the last Shakespeare we're doing. And next year, we're going to be starting with a play that I have been told is really, really great. I'm looking forward to it. We're going to start with a play called Waiting for Godot by Samuel Beckett. Let's hope it's as entertaining as the Shakespeare we've been looking at for the past nearly 4 years. Anyway, until then, bye-bye. If you would like to support this channel, come across to the Black Cockie Press website, www.blackcockiepress.com.au, where you will find books and other writing services to help with your writing.